Aloha, everybody. Happy Aloha Tuesday, where I go live every single Tuesday to talk about some things. And if you are in the USA, you know tomorrow is the tax deadline. So let's talk about it. Let's give a few moments for people to hop on. If you have any questions, put them below. Aloha, aloha. Going live because taxes are due tomorrow for those who are paying tomorrow. I'm going to wait a few minutes for people to join. Hey, Chicana, Presley, Ritu, Tish. Aloha, Lauren. Be starting in a few minutes. Let some people hop on. Today's topic is taxes. You can also put real estate questions in there as well, as that's what I'm known for. And I can try to answer questions as best I can. Side note, I am not a licensed CPA or lawyer. So if you do have any specific questions, please consult your legal team. I am just sharing from my own personal experiences and my personal opinions. So with that, oh, hey, Osea, Hula sis, Mama from Hana. Let's see, Erica, Mr. G. Thank you guys for joining. So if you can put a comment in the chat, because some people I can't see. I'm on my desktop on some platforms. Hey, Lace. Hey, Lifer48. So right now I'm going live on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube Shorts. YouTube, I guess. Still learning all of this too. So any tax questions that you have or any real estate questions, I'm going to be answering them today. We're going to wait a few more minutes for people to hop on. We'll put your questions in the chat and then we'll start going over them in a few minutes. There's some things I did want to discuss too about taxes. That's super important. So make sure you guys stay on till the end. Let's see. So if you're watching live, tell me where you're tuning in from and be honest. Are you getting a refund or paying taxes tomorrow for your federal and state? Drop either one if you're getting a refund or you got to pay. Let's see in the audience. And like I said, I'm going live on all platforms. So follow me on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, Facebook. I share different things on the different platforms, especially YouTube. I'm going to be sharing more long form education that can really just help the everyday people learn more about wealth building, learn more about making more money, and more about saving more on taxes, because those things are super important, especially in this economy right now with all the craziness going on in politics. Lace is paying. Hey, Dean. Erica. Jabora. Mario. Delish Native. Ooh, I like that handle. Okay, we're going to start answering some questions for you guys, and then I'll kind of go over, outline some things that, some common deductions that people might miss, especially before tomorrow, because taxes are due tomorrow, but pay ASAP, or file your extension like I did till October. But the only thing to keep in mind, if you do file an extension and you actually owe taxes, then you'll have to pay a interest on them. You're going to have to pay an extra fee. So I know for some people, tax season does feel like confusing, stressful, or something that they avoid. I know if I file an extension, I usually wait until the extension is till October. So I'm literally waiting September to beginning of October, grabbing all my stuff together. But this year is different. This year is different. I started tax planning the year before. So in 2025, before the end of the year, I met with my bookkeeper, my CPA, and my attorney to kind of see where else can I be saving, what else can I be taking advantage of before year end, or what other deadlines do I have at the beginning of the year to make sure I get stuff done, like paying into retirement accounts, paying our kids if we have to use the Augusta rule. So those things I'll be covering as well. That helped us save a lot in taxes before the end of the year. Let's answer some questions real quick before I get into some key points that I want to cover. Delish Native says, I don't have all my W-2s and definitely owe because I haven't filed taxes in 2 years. Any advice? I would get a CPA and do that ASAP because there are a lot of penalties that come with not filing your taxes for years. And so I know people that just let it compound. And, I'm not a CPA or lawyer, but I know there are legal repercussions for people who don't pay their taxes and owe. So I do work with a company, Prime Corporate Services. I'll put the link as well down here. I would contact them. My CPA is not taking on people this close to the deadline, but I also work with Prime Corporate Services, who does my taxes for my businesses as well. And they can be super helpful. You can book a free call with them. I'll put the link in there. I'll also put it in here. Hopefully it works on all the different platforms. And then, okay, there's comment on Facebook too. Okay, so Instagram, hello, how are you? What are some tips for people to begin? Single for lifers. Ooh, okay. What are some tips for people to begin? Are you talking about taxes? Or are you talking about real estate? Maybe if you can just put what topic you're talking about, then that would help me answer that. Delish Native said, thank you. You're welcome. Hey, Eve, Denise. Okay, so we're moving over to, if you're on TikTok too, put your questions in the chat. Moving over to Facebook Live to see what the questions are there. I know there was a few coming in as well. So Lay said, how can I check how much equity I have in my home? So typically what equity is how much debt is against the property versus what it's worth. So say your property is worth $1 million and you only owe, let's say 600,000, then you have about $400,000 in equity in your home. Now, how you tap into that, you could get a home equity line of credit. There's different ways you could refinance. You typically can't get access to all of that, but it is an avenue that you can tap into if needed. So how to check how much equity? Typically, you can contact a real estate agent or broker, and they can run a analysis for you, oftentimes for free, and tell you, okay, what is the current value of your home in today's market? So that matters the most. Or you can hire on an appraiser, a real estate appraiser. I think for about, I don't know, depending on where you live, but for me, the appraisals cost about $1,000 to $2,000. So you can pay them to get a more accurate appraisal of your home. Or if you're applying for a loan through a bank, they'll oftentimes hire an appraiser to come out or get a broker's opinion. So there's different ways that you can find that a more exact um, amount that your home is worth to get how much equity you have. So once you have that appraisal, then you can say, okay, if the same thing, if your house is worth 1 million, you owe 600, then you know the equity you have in your home is 400,000. Did that help, Lace? And she's also paying taxes this year. And I know that she is a business owner. So there are a lot of deductions. I hope that you're taking advantage of for 2025. If not, we got some things to cover with you. Commonly missed deductions would be helpful, Heather. I have a question. What's your favorite Branson glamping resort? What's your favorite Branson glamping resort? Oh, what's your favorite? Maybe favorite tax deduction? Yes. So buying real estate is a great way to get more deductions. Heather is my partner on our glamping resort in Branson, Missouri. And they were able to do a cost segregation, which also helps us to take a lot of the deductions from that project itself and then cut down our taxes by a lot. Last year was pretty significant, I think over $250,000. So that helped a lot. So if you are in real estate or you have a rental property or have projects, make sure you're taking advantage of cost segregating the expenses that come along with that. So typically that's a big chunk of it can be taken out in the beginning of a project or the first year or two, depending on when you start making income against that property as well. So again, I'm not a licensed CPA or attorney or anything like that. I'm just speaking from my own personal experiences. So with that, I think we answered some questions. Oh, we got a few more. Judy said, is there an app that you use to be organized on filing deductions? I just keep all my receipts in the shoebox and go through them at tax time. I'm sure there's a better way. Yes. So I actually on my phone you can do, okay. I do it a couple different ways. And the number one way I suggest is, especially if you have a bookkeeper or CPA, or maybe even for yourself, Google Drive is free. I would, every time you get a receipt or even online, they send you a receipt right away, just save it to your Google Drive into a folder labeled receipts. So that's the easiest way instead of the shoebox method. But as soon as, even today, I went to the bank, I paid out one of our private lenders some interest that they made on a property. And I immediately, even after they took the check, I said, oh my gosh, can I see the check again? I went into my Google Drive, opened it up. I think it's like you press a plus sign, scan documents. Anyway, took a picture of it through in the drive, and it now is automatically there. So my bookkeeper has immediate access to that, and then she can ask me. I try to make notes as best as possible, but typically I have a meeting with my bookkeeper at least once a month, and then we kind of go over the receipts or any other questions that she have. A lot of things are already kind of automated, especially if they're reoccurring bills, so she knows what they are for. But anything else, she'll either email me or text me, and if I don't get back to her during that meeting, we'll kind of go over some of they call them unknowns. So Judy, just take pictures of them immediately in your drive so that it's just up and it's already there. Lace said that was helpful. Thank you. Of course. Like I said, as I go through some of these strategies, then, and you have any questions, just put them right there in the chat and I'll get back to it. Jason said, I'm a realtor in Sakura. I don't know how to say that. Sorry. Yay. Yeah. So realtors too, this applies to you guys. So what I've noticed, and I was the same way too, is that most people only think about taxes once a year because there's the tax deadline coming up. They haven't prepared. They basically, I think like Judy, they just react, right? It's like, oh shoot, I got to get all my receipts together. I got to start, filling out the paperwork, getting 1099s or W-9s from people. And I still am at this time just getting our last couple, but I'm already prepared and filing an extension as well. So, but I want to know before the tax deadline, will I owe taxes or will I be getting a refund or not paying any? So in the past, I've relied fully on my CPA without understanding the basics. And my previous CPAs that I've had missed some major deductions. And so was it my fault? Was it their fault? It's the communication has to be there. They have to know in order for these professionals to do their job, they kind of have to know what you're doing for your business or what are the strategies that you're already implementing so that they can make sure that they do take those deductions off the top. And a good tax person is going to tell you that the planning starts before April 15th. It starts the previous year so that you make sure you're making the most use out of your deductions and expenses. And it's more so a year-round strategy. Please, if you can, try to plan ahead. It's still the beginning. Well, I mean, the first quarter is already over, but we're still in the beginning of 2026. So there is so much more that you can be doing to plan for until the end of the year. And so typically, two, if you are getting a refund, because I know Lace said that she's paying, a lot of people are paying, and you don't realize, like, especially if you already have a job, you are paying taxes throughout the year. They're just taking it directly out of your paycheck. So if you're getting a refund at the end of the year and you haven't made any estimated payments, or you're working your W 2 and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm getting a big refund. Like, this means that I won. No, it does not. It means that you've been basically overpaying throughout the year. And yes, owing big chunks of money at the end of the year is not the way to go either. But paying taxes just a part of it. That means you made money. And so the goal is to have more control over when it's time to pay taxes because there is very little people in the world that have paid zero taxes. And if they are, it's because they're making a lot of money and implementing these high level strategies. So I don't know about you guys, but I like see all this stuff on TikTok, on Instagram about like, oh, how you can pay zero taxes and you can buy a jet and you can buy this or have implement some of these strategies where you are uh, starting a family. I think one that I seen was something about some sort of trust and buying, land trust or putting things in land trust. And when I talk to my CPA and lawyer, they're like, okay, no, unless you're making us, over $1 million or $5 million or have $500,000 liquid, then this applies to you. So be aware that some of these strategies that you're hearing about may only be applicable if you're at a certain income threshold. Because I'm like, oh yes, let's write off my trip to Japan. And my CPA was like, okay, where did you hear this? And is it for business? So there's a lot of stuff that you have to clarify and a lot of the things that the IRS will start poking around if you are taking deductions maybe that you shouldn't be. So just keep that in mind. And some typical deductions that people often miss are one, a home office. So right now I'm streaming live from my home office, like in my house. It's an extra bedroom that we turned into an office. So this space right here that I'm using, I can deduct. So if you don't technically have a space in your house that you use for work, then no, this won't apply to you. But if you are, um, even for people who own their own businesses and they come home and they work on paperwork, or they, uh, I know, who was it in here? Judy, if you have all your stuff in a shoebox and now you got to go through all this paperwork, and you have a laptop, or like I have a desktop as well. If you are working in a certain area, from my understanding, you can use this home office deduction. So don't negate that. Make sure you're utilizing that. The next is business travel. So there was one year where I was traveling twice a month, every single month. So 24 trips out of the year, I was able to write off the business as the travel as business, because I was either flying to other states for events, flying to go and check on my projects, speaking at these events, or if I was attending an event to gain more education or investing in a mentorship, that also counted as a write off. So it can, business travel can be combined with education if you're going to a conference or you're going to a workshop as well. So make sure you're not missing those types of deductions. And also, like I mentioned, if you're investing in yourself, if you are paying for coaching, paying for mentoring, paying to learn more about AI coming up, or paying more to learn about taxes, like those can all be deductions that you can potentially take if you are utilizing that in the correct way. Now, another one is business meals and business stays. So those, the percentage that you can deduct changes every single year. So make sure you are checking with your CPA, or if you're going the DIY route or using TurboTax or something, make sure you're opting in for the extra services that they have where you can talk to a live person, because everybody's situation is different. What they do for business is different. How they get clients is different. So if you are taking clients out to that will actually need your services, or potential business partners out that will need your services, or that you could potentially work with, those actually could count as well, even though they're not a current client, they're a potential client. So I would definitely check on, make sure you're accounting for all those meals, put it on the side. And then once it's time to do your taxes, make sure you have those amounts and you have justifications for why those business meetings that included food took place, where they took place, keep the receipt, and that could be a potential deduction. Any software subscriptions that you use. So right now I'm using StreamYard to uh, go live across multiple platforms. That has a subscription fee. If you're paying for different services, even like Google Drive, to have more space to put all your, like I do a lot of content, so I need a lot of storage and things like that. Um, that could be counted as a deduction as well. There's a whole list, especially if you already use QuickBooks. They have a whole list of other deductions that you could potentially take as well. So just make sure you're going through each one of those line items, going through your credit cards, going through your bank statements, and making sure that you are utilizing every single expense and where it needs to go. Lay said, it's so hard sometimes to keep up with the taxes. Yes, yes, it is. I think at the end of one year, we ended up paying, I think, like over almost 80,000 in personal taxes. And that's because one, we didn't plan for it. We just kind of waited till the end of the year. Two, we didn't take all the deductions that we could have, and we're scrambling to get it done before past the deadline. Three, we really didn't pay any taxes throughout that year. So if you think about it, if you're a business owner, you haven't paid any taxes. So you don't have a W 2 that any taxes are coming out of. And you're just taking all this income thinking, like, okay, I'll just pay taxes at the end. and you get hit with this big bill, one, it just means you made a lot of money, which is a good thing. But two, it just means you didn't plan for it, right? You didn't make those um, estimated tax payments throughout the year. So that's one thing that I learned early on is, state kind of, they force you to pay quarterly taxes, especially if you're doing GE, that might turn into monthly depending on how much you make. But federal and the end of year state, that might just hit you with a big one, because if you're not prepaying those taxes like you would if you're at your W-2, you're going to end up maybe potentially with a 5 to 6 figure tax bill come April. So make sure you guys are planning for it so you're not surprised like I was, and be more strategic throughout the year. Track all your expenses, whether it's in Excel. A lot of banks too and credit cards, they already kind of pre-categorize some of those expenses that you take. So make sure you're utilizing your apps, because it's your bank apps and your credit card apps, because that's free. But making sure they're categorizing it correctly would be one thing. When I first started my business, I was doing everything in Excel. They have Google Sheets now. Google Sheets is free. So I would definitely be utilizing anything in the Google Suite and just tracking the expenses throughout the year, instead of like trying to remember now that the year is over. It's been a year and 4 months. And you have to try to remember, okay, what did I do 16 months ago in January? And yeah, I know we always say it, but put it on your calendar right now, today, especially if you haven't been tracking since the beginning of this year into 2026. Make sure you just create some sort of system yourself, some sort of reminder, and maybe it is at the end of the year. End of the week. So maybe Sundays, right? Sundays are a good reset day for me, where I go to church in the morning, and then sometimes my son and my husband will go golfing, or they'll go and do something. And that's when I really get to hyper focus on, one, setting myself up for the week. Like, what is the most important things I got to do? What are things that needed to get done this past week that I need to make sure gets done today? And then also just brainstorming and thinking of other things that need to get done, such as taxes or expenses or check-ins with some of our team members that I don't need to regularly check in. But if something is off, or like, I just got a letter from my bank saying that I needed extra flood insurance coverages for one of my properties, but I know that that went through, and I just need to follow up with them, during the work day. And so there's just little things like that that we kind of keep pushing to the side that might end up costing us. Like, they're going to charge me $4,000 that I don't need to get charged, and then I'm going to have to go and fight for a refund. So anyway, little things like that, make sure you guys are checking back in with, and communicate with your CPA early. Start planning now. Like I mentioned, I use Prime Corporate Services as well, and I highly suggest people talking to them. It's a free 15-minute phone call. You can ask them any questions you have about your taxes. I also check in with my bookkeeper. I Please get a bookkeeper if you own a business. It is worth the money to pay someone a couple $100s a month, to, depending on your tax situation, but to go through everything with a fine tooth comb and really help keep yourself organized. So you're not like those who put the receipts in the shoebox and at the end of the year, like, oh, okay, what was this for again? Where do I put this? So it truly helps as a bigger part of your wealth building strategy if you have a good team that's on it, because you don't got to do all the work. I think for those who are on here, how many on here too own their own businesses? Hey, Dexter, thanks. Plug this in. How many own their own businesses? Type it in the chat. Oh, Charlie does. Hey, Lolly, Hawaiian Sister, Jamie, Leaky. Okay. Lace, Judy, do. Lolly does. Papa. Marley. Yes. So being a business owner and entrepreneur is a little bit more complicated than working a job because now everything is on you to then keep track, make money, but also save the most money as well. And so, with that, it's been about 30 minutes. So, I want to be mindful of your time. But taxes, this is just a reminder that taxes are a year round thing to be keeping track of. And getting a refund isn't the goal because if you get a refund, you've been paying too much this entire year. But the goal is to have more control and be ready, right? Be prepared. So, planning really beats you just like reacting to, oh my gosh, tomorrow's the deadline. I gotta pay this and this taxes. Okay, we want to be prepared for it. We want to have a little nest egg of tax account that we know. Okay, like I said, paying taxes. Of course, we want to pay the least amount that we can, but also if you're making money, then that's a good thing, right? We want to learn how to make more money, set aside some for taxes, especially if you're an entrepreneur, business owner who is not making any um, estimated tax payments throughout the year. But there are deductions, like I said, that I've been taking advantage of that really helped us. One is the Augusta rule. So that's where you can rent your house to your business for business training purposes. So we have several businesses. We rent out our house to do live trainings for my husband's business is more on the construction side. So whenever we get equipment here, or we have meetings with our employees, we buy them lunch, we meet and we kind of just brainstorm what's happening in the different businesses at that time, what we can do to improve, and really just show gratitude for them. So it can be a win-win all around. And I don't want people to think like I'm trying to avoid paying taxes. I don't think any of us want to pay it, but it does help to contribute to the roadways, to the county officials, to the state offices, to help all these other programs that help those people in need, or for HUD and a lot of people that, are struggling out there. So it's not necessarily a bad thing, but we want you to be prepared. We want you to start paying attention earlier. So if you guys want to start planning strategically, like I said, I was that last minute person who was like scrambling the day before today, or and even tomorrow when taxes are due, to the last minute, and had to pay a whole bunch more than I really needed to because I didn't have any sort of tax plan. Do not wait. Do not wait until 2026 is over. It's December or even next April, and you're still thinking about 2026. So if you guys want more help, hop on a free call with Prime Corporate Services. I put the link in the chats there, or you can message me the word taxes, TAXES, and I can send you the link where you guys can book a free call with them and just kind of see, maybe they have some last minute advice for you that you could take advantage of and save you, I don't know, hundreds, thousands. So let's be more intentional with our money this year. And if this helped you, please follow my page. I break down money, taxes, and investing in a little bit more simple way that I wish I would have known every single week. So, with that, mahalo. Thank you for joining, and make sure you're following me on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, TikTok. I'll be sharing more breakdowns like this and just some things to be aware of every single week. So, catch you on the next one. Julio.